All right, ladies and gentlemen, the question is, how does one apply for federal grants? There's several ways to apply for grants. If you're a startup company, you can't apply for, most grants aren't available for at least a year to 2 years out if you're a startup company. If you're a 501c3, most grants you can apply for even though you're brand new. So if you start out as a 501c3, you can apply for most grants immediately. If you start out as a for-profit business, you're going to have to wait a year or two before you can apply for most grants. Some states, you're better off opening a 501c3 and a for-profit and running them in conjunction, and you can get better tax breaks that way. I'm not sure which states it is. If that's something you're interested in, let me know, and I'll put you in touch with Dr. Austin, who specializes in that. Now, if you want to, if you do a 501c3, you know, that's a registration as a nonprofit. You can do it on your own, or you can pay someone to do it. It's not easy setting up a 501c3 and doing it correctly, but and most people who charge to pay, who charge a fee for it, I've seen anywhere from $500 to $2 grand to set up a 501c3. If you want to do government contracts and apply for grants, you can do that as a 501c3 or for-profit. If you want to do it as a startup, you're not going to be able to apply for the grants for a year or two, but you can start selling products or services to the government as a startup. What you would need to do is, first of all, you would need to register with the state, either as a DBA, a doing business as, or you're going to need to set up an S Corp or an LLC, something to that effect. DBAs are quicker and cheaper to set up. If you set up a DBA with the state, I think the state charges, like most states charge like 40, 50 bucks. If it was the state of Florida has a system called SunBiz. And SunBiz is where you would register if you wanted to start a business in the state of Florida. Setting up a DBA in some states, they will use your Social Security number as your employee identification number. And some states, I know in the past there were some states that, they would list that information as public information. So your Social Security number was actually public information on the internet. If you decide to go, instead of a DBA, if you decide to go with an S Corp or an LLC, which are a little more safer, primary example is if you set up a DBA and anyone ever sues you, they can sue your business and you personally because you're doing business as. If you set up an S Corp or an LLC, that protects you personally so that they can sue your business, but they couldn't sue you personally. So that's the main difference between the two. If you use LegalZoom or something like that to set up an S Corp and LLC, I think it's a couple $100. It's not that expensive to use an attorney. You're going to pay a lot more. You're going to pay probably $2 or $3 grand to have an attorney set it up. Once you have your DBA or your S Corp or your LLC set up, then you're going to need to register with Dun & Bradstreet. Go to dnb.gov.com. Dun & Bradstreet is not a government agency. Dun & Bradstreet is a private for-profit. dnb.com. Now, DNB is, they're a big company. They've been around a long time. They have a relationship with the government in that they will give you a Dun & Bradstreet number for free. And the government uses that to verify your financial information. And in exchange, they have the right to sell you their credit monitoring services. Until you're actually doing a lot of contracts, doing contracts with the government or doing large contracts with the government, you don't need their credit monitoring services. But they're going to sell it to you. They're going to try and sell it to you. In the beginning, you don't need it. You can always come back later and get it once you're successful. The best thing to do when you contact DNB is just tell them you don't have a lot of money. You know, if the rep you get on the phone thinks you're broke, he's not going to waste any time trying selling you anything. If he thinks you're broke, he's going to get you off the phone and get to the next guy who has money to buy. So my suggestion is, don't lie to them. You're going to have to give them financial information, but just tell them you spent all your money and you don't have any to spend right now. You're getting registered, you get a DUNS number because you want to apply for a small grant, or you got this little contract you want to do for the government, the government owes you a couple $100, something like that. If they think you're broke, they're not going to try and upsell you. Once you have your DNB number, then you need to register with SAM. SAM is the System for Awards Management. Looks just like this. If you are only applying for grants,